Hey, this is Qesankh Kheperu with New World Dimensions, and I'm here in South Beach, Florida. I spent the past 5 days with practically no sleep. I got a leg injury, and it's been painful as all heck. But yet, I am still working on my spiritual development, still putting in practice the New World Dimensions techniques. And in this video, I want to talk about the self versus the person. So let me start off by explaining that the person is who you perceive yourself to be based on your conditioning patterns, meaning that throughout life you conditioned yourself to like certain things, dislike certain things, define things as painful or pleasurable. That is the person. The self is the true self of who you are. We come into this world basically as a self, unconditioned, without likes and without dislikes. It's only through our life experiences do we take on the perceived characteristics, the ideas and definitions that we give to ourselves and the world. And your goal, your spiritual goal, is to transcend the person and become the self in everything you do. So as I was saying before, I got practically no sleep. And when you do that, that's a great way of bringing to the forefront the subconscious mind or the spirit so that you can condition the spirit or program the spirit accordingly. And what my goal is to do is to redefine how I perceive things and how I frame things. So nothing to me has a quality in of itself. I don't look at things and say, oh, that's painful. Oh, I don't want to do that because that may hurt me, you know. I transcend that, and that's the goal. And when you're encountering things that you perceive to be painful or unpleasurable, the thing to do that is to plow through it and do it anyway, and to repeatedly do it over and over again until you become indifferent to it, until you transcend that belief system or that perceived emotional pain. And what I do is I stack up a number of things that I have difficulties with. You know, I may say, oh, you know, I don't like doing this, or I think this is not something that I want to do because I feel it will cause me great pain. And I stack those things up and I do them one at a time, over and over again, day after day after day, until the person who defines those as painful takes a back seat, and the self, and you'll find this is a beautiful thing, the self comes to the forefront, and you're able to plow through it and do those things anyway, and the self is indifferent to it. The self doesn't define it. The self is not looking at things in a way of saying, hey, you know what, this has a quality, and therefore I can't do this. And you know, there's a saying that says beauty is in the eye of the beholder. You know that means basically everything is subjective. So what is one man's tea is another man's coffee, I guess. You know, one man say I like tea, another man says I like coffee, but really nothing has a quality in and of itself. You have the ability to transcend the pain and pleasure that you perceive things to have, and bring forth the true self, which is unconditioned, has no dislike or dislikes, and doesn't perceive things as painful or pleasurable or such and such. So that's really the goal of your work and spiritual work, and you should focus on that. In fact, in your language patterns on a day-to-day basis, you should start speaking in terms of, if something is upsetting you, say to yourself, this upsets my person. And that makes a clear distinction between the person and the self, and that registers in the subconscious mind, and it knows who is speaking at the time. And it's the person that's speaking at the time. It's not the true self. And the true self will eventually, if you're plowing through those things that cause you discomfort, eventually the self will come to the forefront, and you'll find that you're able to do those things, and that you won't perceive them as painful anymore. And that's beautiful. But again, you're going to have to make a list of those things that you perceive that are painful and difficult in your life. It could be, you know, I have trouble talking to my boss, or, you know, I have trouble with my mate. You know, I have trouble, with eating so much. You know, I'm trying to exercise more, and I have a trouble going to the gym. I think it's painful. I don't want to go to the gym. I get tired. And again, being tired is another language pattern that the person uses. The person says, I'm tired. The person says, I'm in pain. You just got to plow through that. And like I said, 5 days of no sleep. I have a leg injury, but I am still plowing through everything that my person perceives as difficult and painful. And on this 5th day, the spirit came to the forefront, and I was able just to knock it out and just get through that. So again, it was a beautiful thing. So that is the distinction between the self and the person, and how we program ourselves or a person by taking on belief systems that are not congruent with the true self. So this is Qesankh Kheperu for New World Dimensions, and that's all for now.